Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this special edition, our focus is on the Q3 earnings. The company on our radar today is NIIT Ltd. That's just announced the Q3 FY24 numbers, where the Q3 revenue has come in at 85.2 odd crores. That's grown 5% in a sequential basis. We've also seen that the operational profit, the EBITDA, has come in at 7.8 crores. The margins are at 9% odd. That's also improved on a sequential basis as well as on a year-on-year basis. We've also seen that the profit after tax, the company has reported a 35% uptake on a sequential basis to 14.4 crores. Now, to discuss more insights about the quarterly earnings and the outlook going forward, I'm now joined by the top management of the company. Mr. Rajendra S Pawar joins in, the chairman and co-founder of NIIT. Welcome, sir, to Business Today Television. Good to have you with us. Do tell us, how do you assess the earnings that have come about? Is it as per your expectations? How have been the key verticals' performance this time around for our viewers?
So the results, I think, are along the line that we were expecting, which basically means that, as you know, last year this time there was a huge pushback on hiring by the technology sector, which all of us have been concerned about. So we had to do a lot of things to deal with that reality. And so the shock that came three and a half, 4 quarters ago had its toll on the IT vertical of our training, quite understandably. But over these 3 quarters, we've really focused on saying that if there's a compression in one part of our business, and I'll talk of the other one which is gone, which is banking, but if there's a compression, then we have to get ready to become fit for growth, as we would call it. So we went into a lot of action which helped us to manage costs. And so we've seen that the profitability, we've had a focus on that's worked well, getting ahead sequentially. But also that the dip we had, the degrowth in a sense is becoming less and less as we get back into a period of getting ready for growth. So the IT sector hiring was impacted. However, on the other hand, the banking sector hiring was at a very good speed, and that helped us to balance it. The portfolio helped us to balance the growth, and that is how this quarter, as you can see, there's an improvement sequentially. On the revenue, on the bottom line, and the profitability as well. And therefore, going forward, the issue is just to be much more ready. We do expect the IT picture to be a little challenged for some time, but eventually it will come. And also, I think, as again, just new hires, we see a lot of retraining of the people who are there to get ready for the new skills. So that is the scenario, that's what we're preparing for.
Could you also expound upon the fact on hiring that you're talking about? What is the outlook going forward? Has the trend shifted already from this quarter? Do you see a better scenario emerging from Q4 onwards, perhaps? What are you hearing from the top tech companies in India?
Well, the top tech companies are still being conservative about outlook on hiring. This has been a tough quarter, as you know. But we shifted our emphasis also to 2 subgroups. One is the GCCs, the Global Competency Centers. They're hiring very well. So that has been one big important reprioritization we had to do. The other is the mid-tier GSIs. They're not as impacted on hiring on people as the very large companies are. So this shift is the one which is helping us to cope with the situation. And we see that this will get better. So that is one part of the situation for the IT sector, that the GCCs are growing rapidly, and the mid-tier companies, among them the ones which are growing, are adding talent. So we've had to shift a bit of our emphasis on this subgroup to get growth.
Okay. Could you also tell us, since we are now going to be approaching FY25 as well, what is going to be the strategy overall in terms of growth? What is the vision, both on the top line and bottom line? If you could share, if you have internal targets, for the year, how will it be? How much better will it be from FY24? What is the sense that you have, sir?
So this coming quarter, we expect to do better in terms of growth than this quarter. Quarter over quarter, we'll go into a positive zone. That's one. And so that's the short term. The short term is a question of being light on your feet and doing appropriate changes to deal with the situation, which I think our team has done well. But the bigger trend that we've been working on, and we've talked about that in the past, is that we are looking at newer horizons. So, to put it very simply, 40 years ago we looked at IT, and that was a big contribution. 20 years ago we looked at banking, that was significant. So now we have on the horizon the newer areas that we are studying. So going into next year, you will see us opening up while IT grows, while banking grows, and banking and financial sector is growing very strongly. We will be opening up a few newer areas, and therefore the next year, the long-term growth directions are to consolidate IT. There's still a lot of place there for retraining. There's a huge amount of space with Gen AI, with the newer technologies that are coming. So shift the focus onto newer technology, shift the focus to retraining. For banking, financial sector, there's a lot of growth. I think we're getting now into wealth management, the upper end of it, not just frontline relationship manager kind of training, branch training. So there's a moving up the value chain in banking, which will give growth. And in addition to that, we are now looking at for the next wave of areas where talent is required. So you'll see those things also being talked about as we go forward.
I'm very glad that you did talk about Gen AI. That was the buzzword when we were interacting with the top tech companies this time around as well, to understand from there how much of their focus has shifted to Gen AI. I want to understand from you, what are you hearing in your own conversations with them? Are they looking at external hiring, or are they more interested in upskilling the current set of employees that they have for Gen AI? What's the trend going to be like? Has the emergence of generative AI impacted the way they want to now strategize in terms of hiring fresh employees as well? Will that cut down in certain segments for them? How could you explain to us the entire scenario?
So I think there's a lot of excitement about Gen AI. I think that you're sensing everywhere you go, that's the big discussion. So first and foremost, the good sign is that right at the leadership level in companies, there's a huge amount of curiosity on Gen AI. And the question they're really asking is it a technical thing for a few technical people to learn, or do we need to do more? And what we're telling them is Gen AI actually can start impacting the way people work pretty much across the organization. So there's going to be a pervasive kind of change which will come, which will also involve culture change. But then there'll also be strong technology capability which will have to be built by a few. So all work processes will be impacted. And there are some areas where the impact is going to be bigger. We see that either the administrative processes, the whole sales and marketing function, very big contributions in that, which will come there. Anyone who's dealing with content, well, huge amount of productivity changes which can happen, or if you're not doing that, you find a problem. So things to do with content, and then we will see that now in Gen AI, we are beginning to deal with omni-channel. You'll see video, you'll see text, you'll see voice. So all modes coming together to deal with opportunities, risks, threats, internal processes. So this is actually a multi-dimensional change where everything we do, everything we communicate, everything we process, there's going to be a far more efficient way to affect the work of people at all levels. So it is, in my life, this is the fourth wave of AI. The first three were disappointing, but this time we expect a bigger impact. We expect a bigger impact because there's more computing power, there's unlimited memory on the cloud, our connectivity speeds have gone up. So more and more problems will get solved in better ways using Gen AI. And it's beginning to happen. We've been actually building our content using Gen AI. And the last couple of quarters, we've started introducing programs in Gen AI at all levels.
Okay.
And so I think this is something which should be embraced by everybody, in my view. It should be embraced.
Okay, it should be embraced at this point in time, but right now, at the current stage, there is a lot more fear than embracing at this point in time that perhaps it's going to replace humans. That's the one basic fear that most of the engineers at this point in time have. So I think you would be better placed to address all those concerns.
So I've been through many layers and many waves of fears coming. Not the horse cart, not that old, but many fears, starting with automation itself. And what we find is that there's a disturbance, and then there's an adaptation to see how to use the new wave more appropriately. So Gen AI, that people are very worried about lower end jobs getting affected. And to some extent, when BPO happened, that happened. So to some extent, it's valid. But I think the fact that it can help everyone to improve productivity, that's the point to look at. So we will see productivity gains, and particularly for people who are starting up, you know, eh, the cumulative experience becomes available to people far more easily. So anyone starting up something new, when the internet came, it was tough to make a website. Now you could make it easily. Now you can do it very much faster. You can get many things for granted if you are becoming. It's not just productivity; it's about the range of things that each person can do. So
Yeah.
to me, I am very excited. I think it's a fascinating time because it could help everybody to become more productive, more effective, and have to think a little more than just doing routine
Okay.
stuff.
Right. And now coming back to the growth strategy that you've been sharing with us, going forward from here, what are the top 2 or 3 levers that you will be working with to, grow further from these levels and ensure that there is a sustained growth on the margins as well?
So margins have been our focus. Whenever there are difficult times, we've learned that that's one thing you should work at because you need to go past the difficult time, and we've been able to demonstrate that. But as I said, IT itself has a lot of headroom. So in terms of reskilling, in terms of even at the entry level, giving productivity tools so they start being more productive from day one, which has been our forte. So we see growth happening there. We see, as I said, financial sector. Now we're going up the value chain in that. We see growth happening there as well. And we'll be introducing new ideas. They will take a little time to become volume. But the next wave of talent areas are what part of our energy is going to. And so that will be growth for the medium to long sector. So all these areas are our focus of attention. And of course, more and more use of Gen AI in everything that we do.
Okay. Well, on that note, thanks a lot, sir, for speaking to us and sharing such wonderful insights about the company going forward, the strategies as well. All the very best to you for the upcoming quarters as well. And here's hoping for more interactions going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sakshi. Thank you as always.
Thank you. And with that, we wrap up this very special conversation with Mr. Rajendra S Pawar, the chairman and co-founder of NIIT Ltd, on the earnings as well as the outlook going forward. And he also gave that piece of advice as far as Gen AI is concerned, the buzzword. At the same time, the word that's been causing a lot of nerves to rise and a fear to rise that perhaps this will replace humans. And you heard him talk about it, abating some of those concerns. With that, we wrap up this special conversation. But do stay tuned, as Market Today will follow up next at 2:30 p.m. and I will be joined by Shell Bhatnagar, and we will be talking about the closing strategies on the stock market. Stay tuned.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today. Celebrate 32 years of leadership in business news with Business Today. From the groundbreaking AI cover of Sundar Pichai to PM Modi's exclusive on G20, we redefine headlines. Now our 32nd anniversary issue explores India 2029, the 5-year agenda, with industry titans sharing exclusive insights. So, just BT it for unparalleled perspectives. Business Today, 32 years of leadership, innovation and business brilliance. Subscribe now.